Hey you guys, this is Jess with Sourceful Journey, back with another video. I'm trying to get a closer view so you guys can see me. Hopefully this is good. So yes, back with another video. I just wanted to come on here and give you guys a quick story time. It was some information I found out from one of my good friends that I went to college with. Her backstory is very telling, and I'm surprised it hasn't made it to the news yet. She came across some recent details that I think was pretty shocking. Pretty shocking in the sense that no one took time to do research on it. And it's, I don't know. I think it will probably end up hitting the airwaves soon enough, but it was just something that was pretty recent. I'll just go ahead and jump into the details here momentarily. So one of my good friends I went to college with years ago, during our undergrad years, she was actually a nursing major at the time. So we ended up crossing paths with one another again. I haven't seen her in quite some time, and she was truly a genuinely good person. It turns out, you know, she too had took on the Ancestry test. So her story is pretty unique, especially knowing that she works in the field itself, nursing. So what was funny was because she said the results she discovered was something that was completely unexpected. She found out that the very family that she was brought up in was not her family at all. So from what I understand, she mentioned that it appears that maybe there could have been a swap. So either she was swapped at birth, or it could have been like an actual kidnapping. Now, what's interesting, because if I'm not mistaken, within her town, her hometown, she mentioned that they were known for, it was like for human trafficking or some type of illegal activity that was going on with this particular hospital. And I think actually, as a matter of fact, the hospital was torn down several years back. So the hospital's not even up anymore. But what she believes what may have happened is that either there was an accidental swap at birth, or, you know, playing devil's advocate, she believes that she could have also had like a closed adoption scenario to, you know, be a part of the equation. I say all this to say it was pretty jolting for her when she found out the news. And I can only imagine, like when I heard that story, I kept thinking like, wow, if the shoe was on the other foot, how would I feel? 155, as I said that, I think it would be pretty alarming. It'll be a tough pill to swallow. You know, I would still have love for those individuals. But then I would want to know why, you know, if that were to have been me, like why? Why was this hidden from me for so long? Those would be the type of questions I would ask if I was in her position. There's more to this story as well. Oh, it gets better. See, what else she discovered is that, you know, she already knew her father had passed years ago. It was actually right around the time I think we were like both, I think we were sophomore or juniors in college. We were, again, finishing up our undergrad at the time. She said that she was notified. She received a letter that let her know that he had passed away. It turns out, in some form or another, there was an inheritance, I believe, that was left for her. She mentioned something, and I'll have to look further into this, but she said something about probate. So she mentioned she needs to look into that. So she's actually on the hunt. She's on a quest to see what else she can find out. But it turns out there was something that was in fact left for her, and it was hidden from her, but she just got wind of it. So she's now going through the appropriate channels to get that taken care of as well. Now, what's even more interesting, when she did the test and realized that she was connected to other individuals, you know, there were some that responded to her, but, you know, sent like little messages under, I guess, the app. You know, I think the Ancestry DNA, they have like an app that you guys could use. So you can see like who you're connected to what degree, like if it's first, second, third, whatever the case may be. But there's a messaging area where you can interact with those individuals as well. So from what she shared with me, she said she's gotten a bit of mixed responses. Some people would see that they're connected and they're just wondering how. And so she would share what bit she knows, because obviously she didn't know how either. So it was funny how she was explaining this to me. But you know, but then there was this one she connected with who knew quite a bit of detail, and she's been closely interacting with this individual. But what's so bizarre is because what's interesting, she started interacting with this individual and she hasn't called her yet. And not only that, I had to ask her, I'm like, well, why you didn't call her yet? Why didn't you give her your number at least? And I think for her, it's just because she's still trying to process everything. The fact that, you know, there could have been like an accidental swap, or it could have been a close adoption, because she just doesn't know at this point. She's just trying to piece it together. So the fact that she's dealing with that alone, and then alongside you have people reaching out to you and you're trying to process like who these individuals are, it's a lot to take on. I truly pray, I truly pray for individuals who end up in those type of predicaments, because, you know, you realize that you've been fed a lie, basically. You could have either been fed a lie, or there could have been something that was done accidental by the hospital's hands, and there's no way of going back. You can only try to build forward from there. Meaning, like, if in fact you are genetically tied to these individuals, and it's at certain high degrees, just take advantage of it. Try to build from there, but at the same time, look into the other areas as well. It doesn't hurt to do that. So I kind of feel for individuals like that who fall into those type of scenarios. And yeah, I just hope that it pans out well for her. I'll keep you guys posted on her side as well in terms of her story. It's really interesting with this Ancestry DNA test. I wish this was around earlier for people to use, you know, where we can get these type of details. But thank goodness, thank God for the fact that it is available now. And I would encourage anyone and everyone, if you have been pondering, should I do it? Should I not? Seize it. Go ahead and do it. You know, and just be prepared for the results. It may be what you expected. It may not be. Now, kind of going back to my story when I left you guys with the part 2, my side of it is that I got to look into more details in terms of my story too, because there's certain parts in terms of the breakdown that is missing from what was shared with me when I was growing up in my household. Like, there's certain parts that my mother mentioned or my aunts mentioned in terms of our family lineage. I'm like, wait, I don't see that here. What's going on? Could have been a misunderstanding, but then I doubt that, because I do recall the photos, the old black and white photos of, you know, our passed on loved ones that they showed me. And they fit this certain description, but then to see that description is not on the breakdown, for me, that's a bit jolting. So I'm kind of like dealing with my own little quest there in that regard too. It's just, it's funny. It's funny. So it should be interesting to see what comes out on my side too. So actually, I'll be keeping you guys up to date on both my story as well as hers. I will see if I'll get her to be open enough to get on camera. I don't know if she will be. She's more of an introvert. Well, I'm an introvert too, to an extent, but she's really an extreme introvert. Like, I don't know if she'll be open to sharing her story that way. So that's why I'm trying to be a bit vague, but kind of give you an idea of like what she's looking at on her side. I really feel for her, because that whole idea of the swap, the potential of there being an accidental swap in the nursery area of a hospital, or the fact that there may have been a closed adoption, that's a lot to process. To realize that you could have possibly been living with a family that is truly not your real family. And then to realize that you were left like some type of inheritance or something that was up to you in a will, but somehow the family kept it from you, thinking they were going to get away with it, and didn't realize that you were going to eventually find out about it, and now they're going to get in trouble for it. That too. Now, I'm really thinking, based on the details she gave me, I really think my interpretation of it is that chances are there may have been a closed adoption. I think it could have been a closed adoption. I don't think it was an accidental swap. I just don't feel like that. I don't think they would have made mistakes like that. And see, we're millennials. So we're talking about the 80s, right? Granted, we didn't have much technology as we do now, but I just don't feel like, I feel like the hospital space, especially when it comes to that area, I think they're more meticulous enough where they won't allow things like that to happen. And if they did allow that to happen, where there was like an accidental swap, that's maybe that was very low chance, very low percentage of that ever happening, like maybe 1 in 5 or so, I don't know. I just find that kind of hard to believe. I really think that there was like a closed adoption on her part, that maybe she was a part of a closed adoption. Also, there were some details missing on her birth certificate too that she had questions about. But she said it was one of those things that she didn't notice it until she started digging. And she was like, wait a minute, something looks off. Especially the details in reference to her father. Something looks off about that. So she's definitely on a quest for sure. I thought my quest is pretty big, but no, hers is really exorbitant. Like she has a lot to look at. Now, as far as the closed adoption side of things, if in fact she was a part of a closed adoption, she now needs to figure out why. Like what was hidden. Also, the inheritance factor. She strongly feels within her gut. And you know, I always tell people the gut will never lead you wrong. So when I heard this, my ears perked up like, did you say your gut? Like, do tell me the details. So when she was sharing the stories with me of why she feels there's an inheritance that's been hidden from her. And a house. I forgot to add on that too. It's a house also. I'm convinced, just listening from the outside in, that, wow, she technically would not have to work another day in her life if it turns out that she is the rightful heir of this inheritance that she was discussing. And to know that a house was left to her, or that she'll be obtaining a house, wow. And will never have to lift another finger to work. That's a huge checkmate, I would say, for sure. Whew, what are your guys' thoughts about all this stuff with this Ancestry DNA details? You know, as I mentioned, you can tell both her and I are gonna be on our own little quest. She has a very big piece to look at, but in reference to myself, I'm on a bit of a quest in terms of finding some details also to kind of piece everything together as well. You know, I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts about that. And just to hear your own thoughts about those who've actually went through the Ancestry DNA test. What results did you gain from it? And was it what you expected? Do you feel that there's some missing pieces to the puzzle in that regard? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Or also you can still continue to respond to me on my other platforms as well. The links are down below as well. Consultations are still open. I do have a few spots that are still open for the week. I believe 3 that's still remaining. If it is something that's of interest to you, definitely don't hesitate to take advantage. If you have any issues with scheduling an appointment for it, just message me on my other platforms or down below and I'll see it and I'll go ahead and set it up accordingly on my end. But yeah, I want to hear you guys' thoughts about this whole Ancestry DNA fiasco, if you will. It's weird because it's like it's an amazing thing when you know all the details, or if you know most of it before you get the results back. But it's an entertaining experience. I'm getting tongue-tied here when I say this, but it's an entertaining experience when you see the details. You're like, Houston, we have a problem. Some details are missing here. Why is that? And then when you dig deep and you find out other details about, again, that possibility of a swap on her end, or the fact that there was a closed adoption, that could be it too. And the fact that she found out that she was in fact left an inheritance in a house that was hidden from her by the other side of the family. That is a lot to take in. I know she's happy as a lark, but to know that your family would do that just because of greed. How low can you go, right? I really feel for them. Because again, as I mentioned in previous videos, karma does not lose an address. People are going to start to learn. It's kind of like that saying that, I don't know if you guys watch Kevin Hart, but he used to make this statement on one of his stand-ups about, what was it? He said, it was like, you gonna learn today or something like that. You gonna learn today. Like when it comes to those who are gonna start feeling their karma, you're gonna learn today, that's for sure. All right, as always, I'm sending you guys with love and light, and I will see you in the next video. Be blessed, everyone.